Well, that was, it was, well, it was a first episode, I'll give it that much, but did anything actually happen at all in this episode? I mean, besides some character and plot setup, nothing really happened throughout this entire first episode. Alright, it starts off by saying some random crap about how 7 mages need to summon 7 different character classes. Why do I get the feeling that this whole thing is just going to turn out to be a giant game of Dungeons and Dragons? Anyway, it's talking about how 7 mages need to summon a character class in order to compete for the Holy Grail.
We've already got one!
Yes, they all have to compete for the Holy Grail. Makes me wonder if they're going to have to go through the knights who say "Nyeh," or if later on somebody's going to have to use the Holy Hand Grenade, or maybe after that they'll...
Alright, enough of the Monty Python references.
Sorry, but when your characters are competing for the Holy Grail, that just makes it too easy.
Clearly.
Anyway, after setting up the plot, we then see this boy wandering around this burned down village looking near dead. He's saved by a blurred figure and we then see him in a hospital and hear him say, "Everyone's dead." Okay then, end of series, see you later.
Oh, come on, really? You're going for the most obvious and cliché jokes possible.
Hey, it's what I do best.
I knew you were an idiot, but wow.
Moving on, we then see the boy a couple of years later as a teenager being woken up by your typical polite, quiet girl who clearly has a crush on him but won't even get close to ending up with him by the end of the series character. Hey, every anime has to have them, right? Anyway, we find out that this boy is living in a house that was once owned by his adopted father who passed away 5 years prior. He's now looked after by a close friend of his dad's. Your typical loud, active, clumsy, unorganised, authority figure who gets no respect character. Hey, all we need now is for this guy to turn out to be an aggressive douchebag and we'll have come full circle with clichés. Though, thankfully, this guy does not seem to be an aggressive douchebag. In fact, he seems to be a pretty decent guy. Anyway, after some character setup, we learn that in their town there have been a lot of gas leaks breaking out as of late. Actually, just the other day we had a gas leak here. Thankfully everything's okay now and it didn't do any harm to us or anything, though it did have a strange effect on Chrono for a while.
I was strolling through the gas one day.
Anyway, our main character and his stereotypical polite friend make their way to school, but on their way there they see a lot of police cars going by. When they finally get to school, we're introduced to the main guy's best friend.
Hey, that guy kinda looks like Kyoya.
Actually, he kinda does in a way.
Oh my.
Not Kyoya asks him to repair their club's heater because apparently our main character has a talent for fixing things. He asks not Kyoya to leave the room and we discover that he's apparently one of the Whispered from Full Metal Panic. Because he's able to touch the heater and discover just exactly what's wrong with it and what he needs to do to repair it. Behold, the magical power to know how to repair heaters. That's going to serve us so well in our quest to find the Holy Grail. Once he's sorted everything out, he and Not Kyoya are making their way to their classroom when all of a sudden they're passed by a very strange girl. And all of a sudden everything goes slow motion. The air gets all wobbly and some creepy music starts playing. And Not Kyoya explains that this girl is quite quiet and doesn't really interact with everybody, but yet all the guys are always pining over her. Well, I'm sure she's not going to turn out to be evil at all. This anime is really laying it on thick with the clichés so far. Hey, next you'll be telling me our goofy, clumsy friend of the main character's dead father is going to turn out to be their homeroom teacher. Oh wait, she does. Apparently those police cars that we saw earlier were investigating some kind of murder case, and in response to that and the recent gas leak outbreaks, the school has decided that they're going to close earlier and end after-school club activities earlier. This naturally annoys the entire classroom, and somebody actually gets up to say something about it who looks familiar.
Hey, what's up? So this guy kinda bears a resemblance to Keaton, so what?
Shut up, Emma.
What's gotten into you?
Nothing, just drop it. Anyway, after working at his after-school job, our main character is wandering about the recent murder case and all the gas leaks breaking out, and exposits about how his father once told him that no matter how much you try and save people, you can't save everybody. Boy, don't I know it.
What's up with you? You're acting weirder than usual.
While he's wandering about, this weird little Russian girl walks past him, giggling. As she walks past him, she says,
"You'd better learn how to summon something quick, mister, or else you're gonna die."
well, I'm sure she's not connected to this murder and these gas leaks at all. You're not even being subtle about it anymore. Anyway, our main character gets home and gets into the standard antics you'd expect from the cliched characters he hangs out with. But later on in the night we discover that his adoptive father was in fact a mage. He apparently used to tell him how the knowledge and use of magic only leads to war and... Wait a minute, is this anime supposed to take place after Final Fantasy VI by any chance? Anyway, he tells him about how magic only leads to war, and should he ever have to use magic, it shouldn't be in the sight of other people, and should only be used to help people. And it was upon hearing these words that our main character decided he was going to become a hero of justice. Yes, we shall save people with the magical power of knowing how to repair heaters. For great justice! The episode ends with the girl, who definitely isn't evil at all, talking to some dude with white hair. They're basically talking about the different character classes and the magic and all that crap. But then the white-haired guy then says he knows exactly the number of bolts that are in a nearby bridge. Yes, together the two of them shall conquer the world by blowing people's minds with knowledge of how many bolts go into making a bridge. Truly they are a force to be reckoned with. Overall, this was just an average first episode. However, it does look like this is going to go somewhere interesting, I'll give it that much. I will continue on with this series because it does look like something will happen if I continue onwards. Hey, maybe later on they'll need...
Don't you dare even think of making another Monty Python reference.